Welcome to the show, guys. We're going to get you ready for fantasy football week 16, whether it be championship week or playoff week, depending on your league settings. This is the episode to get you through. We're going to go through all the matchups, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense, and make sure you have the optimal starts. Now, we're going to compare it via matchup, but it's up to you guys to make that executive decision, and also starts and sits questions as well. If you are torn between who to start this week, drop your questions below. Also covering the latest news notes. If you're new to the channel, guys, you know what to do. Actually, you don't because you're brand new. If you're not even new, if you're regular, just do it anyway. But smash it, tap it, slap it. Hit the thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. And we're going to be going year long. So this doesn't stop. So I'm going to continue on with sports news, trending topics, everything you guys need to cover for sports as well. On top of the fantasy football advice, we're going to start rolling out the 2025 content as well. But NFL Week 16, full preview right here. We're going to rip through it right here, right now. I want to talk a little bit about the latest news and notes here before we do. Where's Breaking Brad?
We now have breaking news.
I want to go over a couple of important notes here that I see in the news that are worth mentioning for this week. It's very, very important. Again, drop your questions below if you have them. Nick Chubb is placed on IR. Now, this is the thing. Everybody was like high on Nick Chubb. I'm like, dude, don't draft this guy. After the catastrophic knee injury last year, I was like, dude, don't do it. And so sure enough, Nick Chubb again hurt. Foot injury, placed on IR. I think the career is over, very unfortunately for Nick Chubb moving forward. How do you come back from this? And even when he was really good, he wasn't really, really good. Like, he was a good pure runner, but lacked the receiving game. He always needed a complimentary receiving back, as part of his team. He's not like a full dynamic. I don't see him like as a Saquon good type guy, right? I mean, not a lot of people are, but you know what I mean. Sincere McCormick, ankle, said he will be back next season. I mean, he had his chance to shine here with Vegas being an absolute disaster at running back, had his chance and got hurt. That was a complete dud. I do want to mention Michael Penix Jr. will be starting over Kirk Cousins for the Falcons in week 16, according to Raheem Morris. Again, we saw the decline of Kirk Cousins over the past couple of weeks, big time, been throwing a lot of interceptions. And at the end of the day, man, like, you invest a high draft capital in Michael Penix. Now you've got a reason to kind of test out the wheels before next year. So Michael Penix is going to get a start here. It's going to be interesting to see how he does this upcoming week. Now, he does have a favorable matchup, which we'll talk about, against the Giants, and they are actually favorite 8 points with the rookie coming in. It's going to be something to see in a game that people are going to be keeping an eye on, this week, okay? Other news, again, I want to mention Pat Mahomes' ankle. He was in full practice participant on Tuesday, December 17th. So looks like he is trending to play. He's actually ended up playing the Saturday, December 21st game. He is playing the Texans. They're going to be at home. And then I believe he's playing the Christmas game versus the Steelers. So Pat Mahomes should be good to go. Monitor that situation if you are an owner of him. So a couple notes here I want to talk about here before we bring up all the optimal starts at each position. Again, if you're new to the channel, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it. All right, pulling up the quarterbacks here. Very simple to read here. This is how you guys read it, okay? The green is good, okay? When I pull up the red like this is the hardest matchups versus position. So I'm going to rip through it really quickly for you guys so you have an understanding. Now, again, you start your starters, guys that have been consistent regardless of how tough the matchup is. But if you are torn between this player and that player on your roster, you got a guy on the bench, you're like, I feel really good about both of them, right? And you got to make a decision. Maybe you might want to lead towards matchup. So this is a very good visual key indicator on who you want to start versus matchup. Okay, guys that got it easy. Also, this is good for DFS. If you play DFS, you get some real good value plays out of these guys, whatever platform, DraftKings or whatever you're on. It's really going to help you with your DFS. Like Aiden O'Connell, he's a little banged up, but he's trending to play this week. Las Vegas versus Jacksonville. Easiest matchup versus position, okay? Cooper Rush, great matchup here. Again, a decent value for DFS. Or if you're desperate for a quarterback or a second quarterback, good value there. Tommy DeVito, check his injury designation. He's a little bit banged up. I see a heart designation here, but easy matchup versus Atlanta. Kyler Murray versus Carolina. We got Cleveland. They're an absolute disaster. Don't start anybody from Cleveland. Baker Mayfield here, Tampa Bay versus Dallas. Great matchup versus position. Russell Wilson, great matchup versus Baltimore. Joe Burrow, him and Chase have been hot. Cincinnati versus Cleveland. It is a divisional matchup. I find that those ones tend to be a little lower scoring, but I still think Joe Burrow has a good game. Michael Penix, again, we just talked about him. He's starting. Do I feel comfortable starting him based on matchup? I mean, sure, but if you've got a better quarterback, I wouldn't, in your championship week or playoffs, I wouldn't go ahead and start Michael Penix. But in DFS, I put him on the cover artwork here on this YouTube video. You definitely want to start him for a DFS. I think the value's there at 4,500. It's one of those like boom bust type picks. Could be special there, and you're going to get some running upside as well. Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones, all good matchups. Anthony Richardson as well, decent matchups. Now, the guys that have it in tough, and again, if I don't mention them, they have a mid-range matchup versus position, okay? Jared Goff, Brock Purdy had a bad week last week. Just, I don't know, man. I think he's a little overrated, but let me know what you guys think. Lamar Jackson here, obviously you're not going to sit him. Tough matchup versus position versus Pittsburgh. Jaden Daniels, tougher matchup. You're not going to sit him. Derek Carr, he's banged up. We know that. Geno Smith, he's banged up. Be careful. Herbert's a little banged up. But all these guys have tough matchups. Tua, banged up, coming off a tough week last week. Drake May, tough, and Pat Mahomes, tough matchup. And again, check his injury designation. I did talk about it in the news. He is practicing, should be good to play. Guys like Stroud, guys like Love, guys like Bo Nix, Josh Allen. Obviously, got to start Josh Allen. All these guys, mid-range matchups. And Mason Rudolph, I think, is set to start over Will Levis as well this week if you're all looking for another play in DFS, okay? Moving on to the running back position here. We're going to filter here by optimal matchups versus position. With running back, again, start your starters, guys that have been consistent. Now, a lot of people, a lot of running backs let a lot of people down last week, including Saquon Barkley and Henry, who did not decide they wanted to show up during fantasy football playoffs. It just sucks. I don't know what to say, man, but again, you got to start your starters regardless of the matchup here. James Conner, great matchup. Madison, someone's got to run the ball there in Vegas. Him and Amir Abdullah are going to get a split. Looks like Abdullah's got a slight edge based on the last game they played. 20 points for him. Sincere McCormick, again, he's out. Stevenson, great matchup versus position here. Jahmyr Gibbs, my man, oh man. As you can see, look at his DFS cost here, 7,500. He is going to eat. Montgomery is out for the season, I believe knee. And I told you, man, like Gibbs is the man. Now we're going to see his true potential. It's going to be a spectacle, man. One of my favorite running backs to watch. And finally, he gets to run wild. I can't wait to watch it. James Cook, great matchup here. Ray Davis, great matchup. Looks like he's starting to get integrate. So him and Cook should see some work. Bucky Irving, great matchup. Him and White should get a bit of a split. Bucky obviously gets the edge there. Bijan, this is where it matters the most here. Playoffs, great matchup versus position. He's been solid all year long. You got to start him. Spears, I would start Spears. I believe Pollard could still be banged up. Take a look at that, but Spears could be a good start this week. 27 points last week with Pollard being gone. Could be a good play this week, and he's got a good matchup. I know a lot of people picked him up off waiver wire. Consider starting him. Taylor, I'm never drafting this guy again. He does have a good matchup. He's the guy that dropped the ball. If you guys remember, last week, dropped the ball at the goal line. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's just carelessness, pure carelessness. Devin Odchain, 15 points last week. Decent matchup versus position. Aaron Jones, mid-range matchup. Joe Mixon, tougher matchup. Brian Robinson Jr. You got to start these guys. They're still starters. They're still going to get the workload. You got to start them. I would start Charbonnet. Take a look at Walker's injury designation, but if he's playing, it's going to be messy for Charbonnet, but Zach Charbonnet could be a good start this week if you have him, if Walker gets sidelined. Pacheco has been boring at best. Tougher matchup. Javonte Williams, tough matchup. He's just done nothing here. Note he's got a tough matchup. Tyrone Tracy, it was a buzzkill last week. I don't know if you saw it, but major buzzkill last week with Devin Singletary stealing that goal line carry from Tyrone Tracy. What a shame, man, because a lot of people started Tyrone Tracy and Singletary just pure pesting away points. So very disappointing performance. We're talking about, guys like Saquon, Henry having a bad week. Tyrone Tracy was started in a lot of leagues last week and just crapped the bed. He's got it in tough for this week. Najee crapped in the bed last week as well. Only 3 points. Another guy, very big disappointment. And tougher matchup. 7th hardest versus position. If you got a better option, do it. DeAndre Swift, 10 points last week. Tougher matchup this week. Just a crappy, right? He's not good. He's not good. I've been telling you this for years. Chase Brown, tough matchup, but you got to start him. He's consistent. He's going to get the volume. Good offense. 9th hardest versus position, Joe. Just note that. Henry, 10th hardest matchup versus position, but again, you still have to kind of start him. If you made it this far with him, coming off a down week last week, he should bounce back, okay? And obviously, Rico Dowdle, 11th hardest. You got to start him if you got him. Worth starting. Again, if it's not mentioned here, he's got a mid-range matchup. But again, it's just raising awareness for you guys so you guys are aware, taking a look at how tough the matchup is going into this week, okay? Wide receivers, tight ends, defense, I'm going to get to that. Before I do, guys, head over to mybookie.ag. I know a lot of you guys are out out of the fantasy football playoffs or are just, kind of hanging by a thread. Like, what do I do next? Get into the bets, guys. It makes it so much more fun. MyBookie.ag. The code you want to use, FFC. Get a 50% match deposit on your first deposit. And there's tons of perks with that code. FFC is the code you want to use. MyBookie.ag. Go right now. There's a code here, but also just head over to the site, MyBookie.ag, code FFC. This is the site I use, the site I believe in. Go enhance that game watching experience right now, okay? Use that code. And I'm telling you, man, if you guys want my picks as well, I give you guys my picks, and we've been crushing it. It was perfect. Yeah, last primetime games, Monday night, we crushed it. A lot of people sending me their picks. Oh man, thank you, mate, so much. Did really well. Guys, Counselor's Edge, I've linked it below. Get all my NFL picks, okay? So let's get back to I'm going to filter here by wide receivers and pull that up so we can kind of see the optimal matchups versus position at wide receiver. And I was just so impressed last week with Brian Thomas Jr., my guy, doing really, really well, okay? Jackson Smith, he looks like he's emerged here as the wide receiver one on this offense. DK Metcalf, absolutely crap in the bed. Terrible, terrible performance from him, okay? So, DK Metcalf, I don't even like him anymore. I never did. I did not draft him, but they've got a good matchup. I would start Jackson Smith here. Other guys, Pickens is a little bit banged up here. It says that his hamstring, he did not practice this week or Tuesday, but they conducted, he's just kind of limited. His hamstring is bothering, so be careful with Pickens this week, but he does have a good matchup versus position, okay? Other guys, good matchups. Jacoby Myers, only 11 points last week. Good matchup. And you can see it right here on the screen. Malik Neighbors coming off a good week. You got to start him. Great matchup this week. Who else we got? Jamar Chase, obviously a must start and a great matchup. That's kind of, two amazing things going his way. We got Hopkins, decent matchup here. I'm not excited about any of these wide receivers here for the Chiefs. You might want to start Noah Gray, though. He's been consistent in the red zone. Romeo Doubs having a good week last week. Again, it's just like wide receiver roulette with these guys. I don't know. He was a waiver wire pickup this week, but you look at him, easy matchup. Could he have a good week, or is it a Watson week, or is it a Reed week? Is it a Dontavian Wicks week? It's just disaster there, man. Just spreading the ball around, or the tight ends get the work. Who knows? But Romeo Doubs could be a good DFS play as well. Adams, good matchup versus position, coming off some big weeks. And this is frustrating for Garrett Wilson, who was slated as the one this year, drafted with high draft capital, and then who would have thunk it? They brought in Adams. I mean, it's annoying, I know. Mike Evans, solid. I mean, at his ripe old age, he's doing well. Must start this week. Great matchup. DJ Moore, great matchup. But again, three-headed monster type situation. And you got so much talent in Rome Oduzde, right? And it's just they get in these situations where their talent is hindered because they're in, essentially a committee, and it just hinders their talent. Very, very unfortunate. So if Keenan Allen goes away next year, Rome Oduzde could be good value next year, okay? Depends on what the quarterback does. Sutton, great matchup as well, and CeeDee Lamb, decent matchup versus position. Again, if I don't mention them, mid-range matchup. Guys that have it in tough, but you still got to start some of these guys. Terry McLaurin, you still got to start here. Ladd McConkey, I still think you got to start him. Second hardest matchup versus position. Juwan Jennings, tough week last week, tough matchup this week, third hardest versus position, but someone's got to catch the ball. Debo's not doing it. Jennings could be a good play, decent value here for DFS, okay? Michael Pittman Jr. just sucks, tough matchup anyway. Tyreek Hill, you're not going to sit him. He was a first-round pick. Terrible week last week and been terrible all season, but, I mean, what are you going to do, sit him? I mean, it's hard to sit him, but tough matchup. Just note that if you got a better option, do it. Amon-Ra coming off a bad week 2 weeks ago, bouncing back. I knew he would. You still got to start him. Sixth hardest matchup versus position. And here's some other guys here. Puka obviously got to start, but tough matchup. It's just noting that they have tough matchups. Thielen, Cooker. I mean, Cooker was the guy that got the touchdown or two last week, right? It's tough. It's tough. Wide receiver roulette everywhere. Like you think Leggett would be the guy. He's a little banged up. Thielen's kind of steps up 1 week, does it. Then it's Cooker. It's like, what are we doing? But all these guys have it in tough this week, just to make sure you guys note that. And Brian Thomas Jr., you got to start him, even though he's got the 11th hardest matchup versus position, okay? Just, again, Nico Collins, 12th hardest matchup versus position. So just, again, seeing it, go back, pause, you can see how tough the matchups are or how good the matchups are versus position here, okay? Really, tight end here, Njoku, a little banged up. Check the injury designation, but good matchup versus position for all Browns tight ends. Make a note of that. Who else we got here? Trey McBride, good matchup versus position. A must start this week. Brenton Strange, I would start him in all leagues, all platforms. The guy did well last week. I mean, we have injuries here on this offense. It's been a disaster, but look at 18 points last week. Finally got the nod to start. He's the guy now. He's a tight end 1, and I would go ahead and start him. Ferguson, good matchup. I mean, he's just not, I mean, this is one of my faults this year. I thought Ferguson would have done better. Just hasn't done it, right? So Ferguson, 4 and 6 points, just not good the past couple weeks. Got a better option to do it, but he does have a good matchup. Again, a big part of that is that Dak injury. Just, it is what it is, man. I don't know what to say. Sam Laporta, you got to start him. Great matchup. I would, consider starting him for sure. Brock Bowers, obviously a must start here. Tyler Conklin, check the injury there before games. And you get just a simple Google search, guys, on your players on your bench. I don't have everybody's roster in front of me. I don't know what everybody's doing. Everyone's roster is different. And so your players, look at your players. Just Google search them, find out what they're doing. If they're banged up, you might start a better option. Here are the optimal starts, right? Pat Freiermuth, great matchup versus position here, as you can see. And Kincaid, I mean, it's very hard to trust him. What a waste of a pick he was. I was telling you, I don't trust the situation. He was way overrated this year, okay? Hawkinson as well, decent matchup, okay? Guys that have it in tough, and Kittle mid-range matchup, but you got to start him, okay? Cole Kmet, tougher matchup. Just to know, Geno Smith, I would still consider starting him with tight ends. Just start your tight end that's been consistent here. Kyle Pitts, I would definitely not start. I'm never drafting any Kyle Pitts at all. I've not drafted him since the first year. The first year, I thought he was good value. After that, I was like, I'm not touching him. Some of these Giants tight ends, very, very risky. I wouldn't touch any of them, and they've got tough matchups here as well. All these guys, you can see a tougher matchup. Tucker Kraft, tough matchup, but he can all end up with 2 touchdowns in a game. You never know. And you got to start Kelsey here. Again, you're seeing some of the guys with tougher matchups, being aware. But when you've got a tight end, you're in week 16 now, guys. You should know which tight end to start and what they kind of put up if they're on your team. Start your tight end, okay? Let's wrap this up with defense. Again, smash, tap, and drop your questions below. Good defenses. Colts versus Tennessee, good defense. Bengals versus Cincy. Good defense, good matchup, right? They're coming off a 19-point week are the Bengals here. Jacksonville versus Vegas. I'm not really crazy on Jacksonville, but they've got a decent matchup. Falcons versus the Giants, good matchup. Vikings versus Seattle. Bills versus New England, even though the Bills put up a lot of points. A lot of points get put up against the Bills, I should say. They are playing New England, okay? 49ers versus Miami, decent matchup. Titans versus Indy, another good consideration here. And Bucks versus Dallas. Lions versus Bears, Giants versus Falcons. Because again, the Giants could be good because we don't know what to expect out of Penix. He could throw 5 interceptions the first game. We don't know. Or he can come out and tear it up. We just don't know. But again, some of these good matchups this week versus position. I really do like the Bucks versus Dallas. I think that's kind of appealing to me here, okay? And that wraps it up. Listen, guys, it's playoff time. We've come this far. Again, I'm going to keep the content rolling here for you. Make sure you guys subscribe, drop your questions below. If you want direct access, patreon.com. I'm going to start rolling out the 2025 content very, very shortly. And of course, the latest news here on this channel and trending topics. I'm also going to be doing sports news as well. Okay. I'm adding that to fantasy. If you're new to the channel, smash, tap it. And I will be back on here before Christmas. So don't worry. Make sure you guys drop your questions below and let's get it. Week 16, Lion mentality. Let's smash it. Hopefully this helps you guys. I know it will. Start the right people, guys. Make the right decision. Lion mentality. I'm out.